All right, all right, all right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our shop talk with U.P.B.C.A. My name is Willie Lightfoot. I'm the president of United Professional Barbers and Cosmetologists Association. We have several of our board members with us this evening, I should say. Vice President Wade Davis. We have Dr. DeJambe Robinson, who will be our presenter tonight. We have Verdina Lightfoot, who's also a board member. And some of our other members, Aaron Young is on the line, Joseph Mons is on the line. We appreciate all of our viewers and everyone that has come to join with us, all of our guests, Sandra and Rich and Jacqueline. It's a pleasure to have all of you with us. And some of you are recurring guests, and we appreciate you for continuously, monthly, joining us for these conversations. We plan to continue these conversations. We know that these conversations are necessary and needed for our community. We thank WDKX for allowing us a platform on this morning as well as on Friday to announce our shop talks when they're coming up. And we don't want to take any time. We want to give Dr. DeJambe all the time that she's need to do this wonderful presentation that we have. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce to some, present to others, Dr. DeJambe Robinson.
She's muted too.
And I am here. I'm here. Thank you. I was still trying to get this screen share together, but we will just go with how it goes. So I'm just going to present. I'm not sure if you all are going to still be able to see my face. However, I will just go ahead and just get ready to get started here. So let's go to File. Nope. Go to Home and Slideshow, and from the
on the group me.
Yes. And let's share the screen. I think that's the right one. Okay, let's get to this. And from the beginning. So thank you, everyone. Can everyone see the PowerPoint presentation okay? Okay,
yep,
great.
Looks good.
So today, first of all, I'd like to thank U.P.B.C.A. and our president, Willie Lightfoot, and all of our board members and our vice president, Wade Davis, for the opportunity to use this platform for this presentation that I believe that we all can, if all help us all. We want to, the title of the presentation is called Expanding. And so I'm going to do one of the practices that I learned last week, that when you have a lot of tension, you just crunch up your shoulders and then put them down, and then it'll help us to relax. So now that I'm a little more relaxed, we want to talk about expanding personal, spiritual, and professional awareness. I want to start off by telling you all that I have just recently been a certified practitioner for the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator for personal development. So I'm on the path of going toward being a life coach. I've been a licensed cosmetologist for 15 years. I have a doctorate in transformational leadership and public speaking, and then also a master's in theology, which my concentration studies are womanist theology, a bachelor's in management, and an associate's in administration. Whew. So the one thing I want to start off by telling each of you is that the most powerful person that you will ever know is yourself. I stand by that. I say that. I don't know if someone else has said it before, but I quote it for myself. The most powerful person that you will ever know is yourself. What you will need for this presentation: you will need a pen, you will need a piece of paper, and you will need an open mind. So if you want to take a few minutes to grab a pen, a piece of paper, and of course, when you logged on, you already had an open mind. So I'm so thankful for that. And you can use your thumbs up if you want to just let us know that you have it. Awesome. All right. Next, I just want to go through our conversation agenda because I don't want to be before you too long. The first thing that we will go through will be our personal awareness, and some of the topics that we will cover will be that mindset is important and its importance to awareness. The next one will be personal development. I'm going to use a theory, a psychological theory by Eric Erickson and Abraham Maslow. Next, we'll be talking about your spiritual awareness, and that will tie in after the personal awareness. We're going to identify the psychological and spiritual location, where you are psychologically, where you are spiritually. Next, stress awareness. We'll talk about quantic chaos and disorientation. Lastly, we'll talk about professional awareness. And so this all kind of ties into each other. Articulation and communication will be one of the topics. And then basically whatever is in you will come out of you. And this is our next slide. Are you ready? If we're all ready, give me a thumbs up. I can see you. We're all ready. The one thing that I want to talk to you about is preference first. So if you all have a piece of paper, I want you to take your preferred hand and I want you to write or sign your signature, right? Just on your piece of paper, write your signature, write I love myself, whatever you want to do, something short. Don't try to make it too long. And when you've done that, give me a thumbs up. I'm gonna let Wade, that's Wade Davis, to kind of watch because I can't really see if people are putting their thumbs up or not. So I'm watching you, Wade.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I can't see them because
Okay.
with the screenshot, I only can see you.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. All
So
right.
we
Well,
do it in the chat.
All right. So now I want you to do it again. Write your name or whatever you just wrote and write it with your other hand. So how did that feel? This is a place where you can unmute your mic. We're going to ask everybody to take maybe one minute to just let me know, how did that actually feel? To write your name on the one hand, you can write your name, but then to use the other hand, how did that feel to you? I see we got some things going in the chat.
I'm confident with my right hand, and I'm not good with my left hand, but I always like to try to write with my left hand. So
okay. So yep. So
it was
sometimes
another opportunity to try. And,
awesome.
Very awkward. It felt awkward.
It felt awkward. It felt awkward. Sometimes you're not as confident. I hope you're not getting any feedback. Is everybody still able to hear me pretty good?
No, you sound fine.
Okay. So it was awkward. It's kind of uncomfortable, maybe a little uncomfortable. There are some people who are ambidextrous. You know, we love those people, but if it felt awkward, if it felt uncomfortable, but I also like what you said, Rich, is where you said, I would like to try to do it again. I'd like to get better at doing it with my other hand. I believe I heard you say that. Okay, so the next slide is, here are, when we talk about preferences, we talk about what the difference is. So using your preferred hand feels natural. It feels flowing. It feels comfortable. When I asked you to do it, you didn't even have to think about it. You were just able to do it quick, effortlessly, and easy. And then you also can recognize what you wrote. You can recognize what you wrote. With the other hand, it doesn't feel as natural. It's kind of difficult. It's kind of awkward. It required a little bit more time, a little bit more concentration. Maybe you had to do it a little slower. It's a little jerky, takes a little more effort. And maybe, like Rich said, it's not me, but it will get easier with practice. So I want you to kind of keep this in mind when we talk about preferences. We want to know what comes easy to you and what you have to actually put more effort into. Our first question, and I think we do have a poll. I hope so. Our first question, um, now that you see what I'm trying to get you to take into consideration is this something, what are some things that are come easy for me, and then what are some things that require more effort? I've asked for 4 things that you may think require a little more effort. Some things come naturally, some things come easily, some things you've been practicing at for such a long time, but there's some other things that we say that your other hand, on the other hand, you don't, it doesn't come as easily. So there's a poll that should be up, and we'll ask you to take a few minutes and take that poll. No poll.
No.
Okay. Well, we'll go on. We'll move on. All right.
We can speak it.
Oh, here it is. It's up.
There it is. Mhm.
It's up. So which of these areas would you like to work on? Oh, it's all together. Okay. So question 1.
So yeah, it's all together. So you just have to go by which question you want them to ask each time.
Okay. All right. No problem.
So you guys are just answering question number
Question 1. And you know what we can do is we can probably come at the end, and maybe we can all answer it at one time. That'll be good too. But if they wanted to answer, is everybody good with your answer?
Sort of.
Sort of. Okay. So in these areas, there are certain areas of our lives that we like to work on. Self-understanding, problem solving, conflict resolution, career and personal development, and improving relationships. Mr. Lightfoot, are we finished with the poll for the question number 1?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll come back to that. Well, unless we want to share the results. Let's see.
There were no results. I think because it's all on one,
It's all on one. Okay, so we'll come back to we'll come back at the end. So
At
just
the
keep
end,
this
yeah.
question in mind. Which area would you like to work on? Let's keep going. So our preferences in how we take in information, how we perceive the world, how we gain energy, how we make decisions. It helps us to determine our personality or our personality type. According to the Myers-Briggs personality assessment, there are 4 pairs of preferences, and they make up 18 personality types. So on average, according to this type of research, we could have anywhere from 1 to 18 personality types. Talk about when you have people who have personality disorders. That's some stuff right there. But we're not going to get into that today. So when you start to take into consideration your preferences, you'll start to understand that these 18 personality types are actually a combination of 4 preference pairs. And so we go to this, and this will be our little project here. The preference pairs actually tell us 4 things about ourselves. How do you direct and receive energy? How do you take in information? How do you decide and come to conclusions? And then how do you approach the outside world? So there are like, out of these 4 preference pairs, you can have any one preference pair that you feel more comfortable with, like when we wrote our signature. And then you have other preference pairs that you, the other side of the preference pair that you're not as comfortable. It takes more energy. It takes more effort. I need to do more to do this. And so what ends up happening is between these 2 preference pairs, it makes up your personality type. Extroversion does not mean that you are an extrovert. It just means that extroversion, meaning that you gain energy or you direct energy by talking to other people. It's being interactive. You're drawn more to the outside world. You work out your ideas by talking them through. So sometimes people who prefer to use extroversion as a way to direct and receive energy, they learn best through doing or through discussing. So if you have your piece of paper, you can always write down extroversion or introversion, whichever one sounds better for you. Introversion does not mean that you are an introvert. And that's one thing I wanted to make sure that we understand here. It does not necessarily mean that you are an introvert. It just means that you're drawn more to the inner world. You like to work out ideas by sitting back, reflecting on them. These are people who maybe just want to get away, close their door, and just kind of sit down and just kind of think things through for themselves. They don't want to talk it through as much. And so if you receive and direct your energy via introversion, then you'll learn best by reflecting and participating in a mental practice. Okay. Next, I want to tell you a little bit about sensing. Sensing is the way that you take in, or sensing or intuition. These are the ways that you take in information. How do you take in information? Sensing is they focus on what is real, what is actual, what is practical. Can we actually do it? We want to have a understanding of the ideas, an understanding of the theories, an understanding of the practical applications. How does this work? What are the rules? These are people who take in information and they need to take it in a way of sensing. If that's you, you want to write an S on your paper for yourself. The other way that you can take in information is through intuition. And so these are people who like to see the big picture. What are the big picture details? The big picture. They focus on patterns. They focus on meanings. They remember stuff only when it relates to the pattern or the events that have happened. And they want clarity and on ideas and theories before actually putting them into practice. So on the one thing, people who have a sensing preference, they trust experience. The people who have an intuition preference, they imagine the future. What are the possibilities? So if you have one, if you like to do the possibilities and you feel yourself in that way, you want to put an in on your paper. And if you are more of practical, I want to know if this is going to work first. Has it worked before? Then you want to put the S, the sensing. Okay. Can everyone see my mouse? Can you see my mouse here?
Yes.
Okay, good. So thinking and feeling refers to how do you decide and come to conclusions. Thinking says that you're analytical, that you prefer. Remember, this is preferences. This is not your whole, you use both. You use both hands, but which one do you prefer to use and which other one takes more effort? If you make decisions based on logical consequences of a choice or action, then you use your thinking. You prefer thinking to decide and come to conclusions. If you strive for an objective standard of truth, then you want to process, think, or analyze things to come to those decisions. If you are more on the feeling side, then you are empathetic. You want to use the heart. You don't really use your head so much. How will other people feel? How will other people be affected by this? If you want to strive for understanding and harmony and kumbaya and and positive interactions, this is your passion. So if that's the way that you decide and come to conclusions, that is feeling. So which one are you? Thinking, the T, or feeling, the F? Which one feels more comfortable or feels more like it's like you? And remember, you do not have to share these with anyone. You don't have to share them. It's totally voluntary. We can go over it in a personal, in a personal session or something like that. But I want to just make sure that you understand what these are. So then the next one would be, how do you approach the outside world? Judging or perceiving? Now, people say judging. Oh, I'm not judgmental. I don't judge people. That's not necessarily what this means. This means you prefer to approach the outside world by organizing your life, being systematic. You're kind of weighing out the differences, weighing out the consequences, things of that nature. making sure that you have a plan in place, making short-term and long-term plans. You like to have things to be decided. You know, you try to avoid the last minute stress. If it, you know, I want it to go, it's supposed to go this way. If it doesn't go this way, I'm really not wanting to deal with it. That's judging. So if that's you, you want to put a J. Perceiving, are you flexible? Are you casual? Can you adapt easily to change? If the business meeting is canceled, are you just like, oh, okay? Or does it really throw you off? Or if someone has something last minute, hey, we need to put this together, are you like, okay, well, it'll get done? You know, these are some of the people who are perceiving, likes things loose, likes things open to change. And they find those last minute pressures really energizing. If that's the way that you feel, if that matches for you, you want to put a P on your paper. So I hope that little small exercise helps out. And you will come up with a 4-letter type. You will either come out with the E, the S, the T, or the J, or you can come out with the E, a N, a T, you know. And so all of these preference types, you're going to use each one. However, you have a preferred, like I'm right-handed, I prefer to use my right hand, and it takes more energy for me to use my left. But at the same time, I can use my left if I need to pick up a box or if I need to grab something with my left hand. So it doesn't mean that you don't use them. It just means that you prefer to use one particular type. Is everyone still with me so far? Let's see.
Yes,
Okay.
I am.
Good. Awesome. Awesome. All right.
Still here.
So let's go to the next slide. So your mindset, how you take in information, how you make decisions, how you see the outside world, whether or not you use judging, whether or not you use thinking, whatever it is, whatever your natural way. I have adapted that from the Myers-Briggs type indicator to this book that I've been reading called Mindset, is by Carol S. Dweck. Your mindset, I believe, and what I took from her, it was that your mindset will determine your satisfaction with something. I just put with whatever, right? Because based on how you see the world, based on how you take in information, based on how you make decisions, this all determines what your mindset is. And it also here changes the meaning of failure or success for you. Remember, as I said in the beginning, the most powerful person that you will ever know is yourself. The next thing that your mindset will change is the meaning of effort and results. Some people believe that effort, putting forth the effort, will make results. Some people believe that the effort within itself is a result. And so that's one of the things that I want to make sure that we understand as far as how your preference also influences your mindset. I want to make sure I'm just taking all of my notes. Yes. And so what Michael D. Riordan says in this book by Carol S. Dweck, he says, you cannot determine the slope of a line given only one point. Why? Because there's no line to begin with. So if we only isolate ourselves and isolate our mindsets to one point in any given space, we only have that one place. We can't determine whether it's going up. We can't determine whether it's going down. We can't determine anything because it's stuck in that one spot. I hope that's clear for everyone. I believe it is. So our next slide, just questions for reflection. How do you see yourself? Are you at that one point? Do you see yourself going up? Do you see yourself going down? Are you making movement? Are there things going in your mindset? Are there things that you want to explore? Are there other places like we had Rich that said, hey, this was uncomfortable for me, but I would like to get some more practice at it. How do you feel about what you have accomplished so far? Is your success about learning or proving that you are smart? Do you have any regrets in the choices that you have made in the past? These are things that we want to think of. How do I see myself? Do I see myself the same way that the world sees me? How would I feel about what I've accomplished so far in my life? These, in psychology, these tell us the two ways that we approach life. It tells us whether or not we have a fixed mindset or if we have a growth mindset. How we approach situations determines our outcome. And the reason for this is because we can only get out of a situation what we expect. Well, our expectations are based on our mindset. So let me tell you a little bit about fixed and about growth mindset. The fixed mindset believes that a talent or skill is naturally given or inherited, and therefore believes that there is no self-improvement or additional learning that is needed. The fixed mindset also has expects praise and strives to maintain the approval of others and whatever their social status is. In this, the fixed mindset people want to be the only big fish, especially in corporations and in leadership positions, so that when they compare themselves to others, they can feel a cut above the rest. So that is just the fixed mindset. Next, the growth mindset. And I love these little plants because they started from somewhere. They started from a seed. The growth mindset says that it thrives in challenge. It thrives in challenge. And if we look at this, we know that that seed started somewhere. It got rained on, it got dirt thrown on it, it got maybe sun. It has weathered all type of conditions. It thrives and interprets difficulty as an opportunity for learning and personal development. There's also a basic belief in change, that people can change, the world can change. There's more to it than this. It's not just me being a seed in the ground at one point, no slope on the line. I don't know if I'm growing up or down or what. It believes that change is necessary. Growth-minded people begin with the belief in human potential and in human development, both their own and other people. So not only am I going to grow, but I also have a mindset to allow other people to grow right along with me. I want other people to be empowered. So with your piece of paper, how have you noticed? I think this is the next one. Yep. Which mindset do you feel is your preferred mindset? And remember, you do not have to share this with anyone, but just based on the small, because it's so deep, I don't want to get too many people, get too deep into this, but so this the mindset of the fixed mindset or the growth mindset, and be honest with yourself. Again, the most powerful person that you can know is yourself. So what mindset do you feel is your preferred mindset? So you can write that down, fixed or growth. So as you can see, what do you see in this picture? Let's let some people talk to me. Come on and talk to me when you talk about the growth mindset. When you see this picture, what do you see? What do you see in this picture? Does anybody want to say?
I see trees bending and going whichever way the forces are forcing it to go. I guess they're flexible.
They're flexible. Okay, that's good.
Growth. I think growth requires flexibility.
Right. Mm-hmm. Growth does require flexibility. Really good. Anybody else want to jump in?
I think I see at some point this place was calm and now the weather has changed. So, and it changed abruptly.
Right.
So it shows me that change doesn't always have to be smooth. It can be rough, but it can be endured.
That's awesome. Awesome. It can be endured. Notice these are palm trees. Yes. And they're flexible and they can move with the change. Having a growth mindset will allow, first of all, thank you for those answers. Having a growth mindset will allow space for the learned discipline. What we call this is responsive behavior. How are you
Mhm.
going to respond? Again, like Sandra said, to the abrupt changes in the atmosphere. Are you going to be flexible or are you going to be unyielding? Are you fixed in a fixed mindset that doesn't yield, that needs to be strong and needs to be, or are you able to kind of move with and still, here it is, and still maintain who you are and what you were created to be? The responsive behavior we call resiliency. And that's what we want to definitely focus on later on in this presentation. When we view the instances of trauma as areas of learning, the psychological impact is readily accepted, processed, and categorized as a learning experience. When we take everything that we have been through in our lives and we realize that I made it through and I got something out of it, it was a learning experience. So, is that a level of success or effort, as we talked about before? Let me keep going. Our next one, we're on the next part. We only got two more parts: spiritual awareness, and that also goes into being psychologically aware. Expanding your spiritual awareness involves, here it is, a growth mindset. Here are some questions to ponder. Do you have any regret? Have you experienced any crises? And that's where we're an abrupt change in your life, an abrupt change in the atmosphere. How did you interpret that crisis? Some people lose hope. They're just like, oh, I don't know if any of you remember Don Music from Sesame Street. And he would just not get the song and he would just say, oh, I'll never get it right. And Kermit the Frog would have to come and say, you know what, you can get this right. We can write this together. Were you able to resolve those crises? People often learn about something about themselves and may find that they have grown in some respect as a result to their struggle with loss. I made this for you all. This is the Erickson and Maslow. So here you have stages of life. This is Erik Erikson's theory of adult development. This is all for just being aware. You have trust and mistrust, shame and doubt versus autonomy, initiative versus guilt. As you progress through life, we get to these places where you can get virtues or you gain virtues, which will be on the next slide. Maslow says that everyone has a need. Everyone has a need, and those needs need to be fulfilled. I put these two together in my book. I have a book called I Hope This Helps Someone. This is in chapter 5, because I believe that as we progress through life, our needs become increasingly narrow. So the physiological needs, after we've secured those, we kind of move up to this need of self-actualization. We move beyond loving and belonging. We find our group of friends. We find our people that, we get those people that are good for our self-esteem, and we move up to a place of self-actualization. As we go through life, we will begin to develop a preference on how we handle crisis, trauma, happiness, success. And this is called our personality development. This last one is understanding your personal development. This is not to scale, but this is just for you all. This is the step ladder that we looked at. As you go through life, you develop these virtues. You develop these virtues as you solve these crises. And so we have trust versus mistrust, which is at the beginning or at the foundation of our personal development. It is at the foundation of who we believe in. So even if we don't take it for the age, if we just took it for scale, we would say that at the beginning of our relationships, if trust does not exist, then these virtues are not developed. And we end up taking on the crisis or taking on the dilemma rather than the virtue that is fully developed. How we prefer, that also comes into our preference type, but we'll go back to the end when we get to the end. If we do not solve these crises, we can end up at the middle of our lives. And have you heard this term, midlife crisis? Because so many of these crises or so many of these dilemmas have gone unresolved and the virtues have not been gained. If you find people who do not hope anything, who have no will, no desire, no purpose, or don't understand their purpose, or don't understand or have a place where it's industry versus inferiority, these are some critical years where our adolescent children are going through school. And if they come out feeling inferior or feeling that they're not smart enough or feeling that they're, and I'm kind of getting on my soapbox, so I'm gonna try to keep moving. But if they feel that, then they will feel that they are not competent, which is a virtue that is underdeveloped for them. What I suggest is if we find anyone who has these underdeveloped virtues, that we go back and resolve them. Why don't you trust? Why do you feel shame and doubt? What happened in your life? These are things I don't want to dig too much into without a clinical person that's, able to kind of work through these things. But I just wanted to give you an overview to make us aware that these virtues do exist and these crises do exist. The ones on identity and role confusion. I don't know who I am, so I don't have a fidelity. Many of us are in this green and peach and pink level here. And so if we did not resolve any of these or didn't get to these virtues, then we'll probably have some struggles with love and intimacy. We'll have some struggles with whether or not I really care about the future or whether or not I'm stagnated. And then when we get to the end, we have despair and don't have any wisdom, or we live with a sense of purpose and integrity. Any questions? Let me see. Okay, so were you able to identify with the stages of development and needs? I'm hoping that everyone is able. That's on our poll question, so we want to make sure that you will answer that. If you were able to at least identify and understand with some of those development and needs. Am I going too fast for anyone? I'm just going to stop now just to make sure I'm not going too fast. Are we all okay so far?
Sounding good. And just know that the poll
Yes.
in, ladies and gentlemen, so you'll be able to answer all of these polling questions, which are very important to us shaping our future shop talks.
Okay, so we're all good so far, so good. All right, thank you. So let's go to the next one. So development, this is how all of this kind of works together. So I had my little gears here because it all works together to make you the person, the whole complete person that you are. But we must be aware. Once again, this presentation is really just about being aware of where we are and what we want to, whether we prefer one thing and we want to stay that way, or whether we want to work on the other hand. Development, mindset, and personality. Your development, as we talked about Erik Erikson's theory of adult development, Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. How have you developed? These are some things. How have you developed through dilemmas? And if you have resolved your crises to gain the virtues. If you find that you have not resolved certain dilemmas, certain crises, that you have issues with certain things, with my suggestion, and I'm not trying to make it I'm not a clinical psychologist, but my encouragement to you is that you would get with someone, a spiritual leader or something, and revisit some of those places so that you can gain the virtues that you need to shape your mindset, because that's where it goes next. To shape your mindset, how you look at things, how you see the world, how you do things. If you're fixed, or if you really are ready for growth, if you're ready to explore those places, have you developed a fixed mindset? I gotta be it. Or are you in a growth place? Listen, how can we all win? Can we create a win-win situation? My disclaimer on that is sometimes we can put so much effort, and this is one of the words that we said early, we can have so much effort into a thing because we expect a certain result. But some people, I'm giving you permission to know that your effort may actually be the result. And so, because what we find, and what I said in that I learned, and I can't cite it right now, but it's always mostly about means to an end and not necessarily the end in itself. Life is progressive. And so we don't end life until we leave this life. And so as long as we continue working, continue turning those gears, we will continue to participate in a growth mindset. And then that helps us to develop and identify and become aware of our personality. How do we prefer to handle those situations when they come up? Next, let's see what our next slide is. Let me make sure I talked about all of my notes for this slide. Yes. Awesome. So the next one is that we get into you are your brand. Once again, going back to the beginning, the most powerful person that you will know is yourself. You are your own brand, and being aware of this is the key. I used to watch G.I. Joe, the cartoon, at the end. And at the end, the sergeant would always say, well, now you know, and knowing is half the battle. So you are your brand. And so when we start to talk about the brand, we start to talk about the professional awareness, because now everything that I am is now put before the world. So I need to be aware of exactly who I am. I need to be aware of where I stand on certain issues, what things I have resolved. So I'll know how I'm triggered or how I approach the outside world according to our personality type. How do I actually approach the outside world? Am I more into a judging perception, or am I more into a perceiving perception based on how I've developed myself? And we're coming to the last few slides. So professional awareness. Now that we know some of the aspects of our lives that they can fit together, we must develop a type of resiliency. When it comes to your personal, spiritual, and professional self, resiliency is an important component to your success. Success comes when we realize that it doesn't necessarily just fall in our lap. It doesn't choose you, you must choose it. Now, for those of us who are spiritual, I'm not talking about favor, I'm talking about success. You have to choose and make up in your mind that you are satisfied with your levels of success, whether it be small steps every day. I encourage you to celebrate small wins, celebrate areas that you have developed, no matter how minute. Celebrate areas where your mindset has stretched and you've become more of a growth type person rather than a fixed type person. Whatever it is, you must choose. And I want to say that this day, what you will serve. It doesn't just fall in your lap. It doesn't choose you. You must choose it. Okay. Um, your professional awareness is your signature brand, your preference. Which hand do you like to write with? The one thing I want to tell you about these, and this is where I have the majority of my notes. Let's close that back down. Is that you want to, when you're being professional and you're professional, how do you make connections? Once again, referring back to Eric Erickson's theory of adult development, most relationships begin with the foundation of trust, and the virtue is hope. So good relationships with close family members or friends are very important. Accepting help and support from those who care about you and will listen to you. This strengthens your resilience. Some people can find that being active in civic groups or being active in faith-based organizations and other locals groups can also help and provide the social support that we need and help us to reclaim our hope. It helps us to trust, and it helps us to resolve the dilemma of trust versus mistrust. We can also avoid seeing crisis as huge, insurmountable problems. Like this is a whole big mountain. Well, there are certain places and certain belief systems that says that we can, based on our mindset, we can actually say that this is not a mountain. This is a molehill. I can get through this based on whether or not we have a fixed or a growth mindset and how we take in information, how we judge the world, things of that nature that we've already gone through. I hope everybody's still with me. We can accept that change is a part of living. Like the palm trees that were swinging, some change is abrupt, some change comes in, but it's all a part of life. Embrace it. My encouragement to you is to embrace it. Certain goals may not be attainable anymore as a result of adverse situations. We just can't do that anymore. So accepting the circumstances that cannot be changed can help us focus on the circumstances or on the things that can. One thing that my granny says to me, she says, live your life, because in a while, there won't be any more life left to live. And so we want to make sure that we are putting our effort, putting our energy into things that we are actually able to affect, change, and also to help us grow to help us be reconditioned, to help us move forward and progress through life. We want to be aware of that. We can also move at a steady pace towards your goal. Now, I'm trying my hardest not to get super scriptural and super spiritual, but being that I am a theologian, there are some things that in the scriptural text in the Bible, it says that the race is not given to the strong or to the swift. In Ecclesiastes, it says that time and chance happens to us all. It also says that if we keep a steady pace and run the race with endurance, that we will get to the goal. I believe that moving at a steady pace, keeping on, routinely working at it, even if it's just chipping a little bit off of the iceberg. If you keep at it every day, that thing will wear down, and eventually you'll have it, whatever task you're looking to do accomplished. You also want to be intentional in your professional awareness. What are my goals? What do I see as success? In our hair industry business, and I want to make sure that I'm making this relevant for hair industry for U.P.B.C.A. Do we need to pick up a new skill? Don't ever get so fixed into a mindset that you're the greatest barber in the world, that you can do anyone's hair. When trends are moving fastly, we have new braiding techniques. We have new haircuts. Some people want a part. Some people want a thick part. They have new tools that are coming out. So you want to be very intentional about your craft. You want to be intentional about what levels of success. Now, some people are satisfied where they are, but there are some people who desire more. So be intentional about making those actions. The next is you want to look for opportunities to discover more about yourself. Whatever your trade may be, whatever your professional desires, your professional goals, you want to look for more opportunities to discover more about yourself. Why? Because it's customer service. So when we go back to thinking about personality types, mindsets, when we go back to thinking about other people and how they interpret our professional or their professionalism, we want to take all of those things into consideration. How do I respond to people? And then again, their personality type may be totally different from mine. So how are they responding to me? This moves into developing confidence in who you are. You are your brand. So you determine your market. There are certain people that will not like your personality. And this is why I'm so glad for diversity among all people. If you don't like this particular establishment, there's one down the street. Now, I'm not saying that we should just kick everybody out and it's like, I don't want to be bothered with anybody. But at the same time, you also have to determine, how much effort am I going to put into this? When have I achieved a level of success? When have I gained a virtue from the situation? When have my needs been satisfied? Whatever, those attributes and those gains, those small wins that we can do, you want to nurture a positive view of yourself. One thing that I tell people, and I offer this to you, you did the best you could with what you had at the time. I often have to tell myself that, because we can fall into a place of regret. Oh, I should have done this differently. Oh, I would have kept that customer if I would have done this differently. Maybe that wasn't for me. Maybe that was something I needed to learn about myself. And now I did the best that I could. And if my best wasn't good enough for them, it was still good enough for me. All right. And that's about keeping things in perspective. Knowing what your limitations are, where how far you can be stretched. Some people can't be stretched very far in an abrupt amount of time. But if you can make little small stretches, and then knowing your maximum stretch, okay, that's my maximum capacity. I can't stretch this anymore. The next, maintaining hope. Hope, again, it goes back to that virtue, the virtue of trust, of solving that dilemma, and have a hopeful outlook on your life. If you don't trust anything else, one thing I will tell you is the one person, the most powerful person that you can trust should be yourself. I offer this to you. Build a trusting relationship with yourself, and you cannot trust someone you do not know. So my encouragement for this whole thing is to make you aware of who you are so that you can know yourself and trust yourself to accomplish whatever is put before you. Lastly, take care of yourself. If you are tired, if you're fatigued, if you're burnt out, if you don't trust anybody, you haven't resolved any crisis, haven't resolved any dilemmas, who are you being good to? You're not even being good to yourself. So I just encourage you to take care of yourself. Take breaks. Take your breaks. Breaks are built into your jobs, they're built into your life. Don't be afraid to take a break, because if you do not take the break, remember, you have the right to choose. You do not take the break, our bodies, our spirits, our minds will take them for us. And it may come at one of the most inopportune times. And we're like, okay, I'm having a breakdown. We don't want that. So take your breaks, take care of yourself, and make sure, little certain physical things, drinking plenty of water, your diet, exercise, things of that nature. Also, additional ways of strengthening resilience that may be helpful. For example, some people write about their deepest thoughts and feelings related to trauma or other stressful events in their life. They do meditation or spiritual practices and help. And I think Wade last week, if you go back to the from last week, you can get the thank you. You can get the video from last week. My dog is barking outside. So you can get the video from last week talking about ways that you can do some spiritual practices, ways to relieve tension, ways to relieve stress, ways to build connections and restore hope. There are other ways. And the key is to identify ways that are likely to work well for you as a part of your own personal strategy for fostering resilience. Last, in closing, I'm here to help. So as a certified practitioner, just to remind you, preference tells us what we can find most energizing, what's most comfortable. The type does not necessarily determine your ability or skill, but it's more or less about a way of making yourself aware. There is no such thing as a right or a wrong type, because we use both of our hands to pick up a box. So it's just, what do you prefer to use? And everyone can use any of the preferences at any given time. You are the best person to decide your own type and how you will grow. You have the right to choose that. Your assessment is voluntary. So if you would like to take an assessment, or if you would like for me to present, it's totally voluntary. It's totally not mandatory. The results are confidential, just to help you find out, well, I feel kind of like I'm on this extroversion side, but I also feel introversion as well. What does that really mean? How do I use this? Or how can I develop the opposite? These are things that I can also offer to help. And so if you decide if you want to share with others. Let's see. Okay. So thank you, U.P.B.C.A, for the platform and for this presentation, for expanding your personal, spiritual, and professional awareness. And if you would like to find out more info on how you can get in touch with me, you can go to upbca.org, or you can go to my personal website, which is drdjrobinson.com. And I'm going to, question 4, was this presentation helpful? And then
what I'm going to do, Dr. DJ, and for ladies and gentlemen, thank each and every one of you for sticking along. We're going to put out the poll. On the poll, answer all of the questions, if you would, please, sir, please, ma'am.
And let me.
You should see 5 questions. Please answer all 5 questions, please. And for those of you who have to scroll, you have to scroll down to get to the other ones. You may only see just a couple on your screen. Just scroll down and you should see all 5 questions. All right, we got 6 out of 11. We have 5 more people to fill out the questions. right. Is there anybody else that knows? We may have some people who may have stepped away for a minute, but we try to get the majority. Is anybody else? Just wave your hand, or let me know if you're still working on it. If not, we're gonna close it in another minute. All right, we got 7 out of 11. I can't fill it out because I'm hosting. Um, and so I know there's a few people because we're host, we can't fill it out. So I think we got one more page. Okay, there we are at 8. I think that's what we are. Is there anybody else who's still filling it out right now? I don't want to cut it off while you're still filling out. Is everybody good? Okay, we're going to share the results. I'm going to end the poll. And I am sharing results now. So it says, which of these areas would you like to work on? We have majority of people put career professional development, over 50%. The next highest one was problem solving and conflict resolution. And then improving relationships, we had one person. Number 2, which mindset do you identify was your preferred mindset? 88% said growth. So we have people that are willing and wanting to grow. Number 3, were you able to identify with any of the stages of development and needs? Everyone said yes. Yes, so you got that across very well, Dr. DJ. Was this presentation helpful? Everybody said yes. What would be another topic you would like to Dr. DJ Robinson to discuss? 2 said leadership development and awareness. 6 said financial awareness. So the number one, 75%, said financial awareness, tips and tricks for economic growth. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to open it up right now. We have a few minutes left for any questions, comments, or concerns for to Dr. DJ. This is the time for you guys to express any comments, any questions that you may have for her, or any other topics that you may not have been listed that you may want to see this group talk about in the near future. We're open. We don't claim to have all the answers, but we're definitely willing to have conversations. So the floor is open.
This is Reverend Iris Bannister. And first of all, I want to congratulate Reverend Robinson, Dr. Robinson. Job well done. In reference to expanding, what is your strategy?
Are you speaking specifically to U.P.B.C.A. or to DJ and expanding her presentation?
I actually am talking to both.
Okay, I'll let her go first.
The first thing, before you can expand anything, we have to be aware of what areas we need to expand in, or what areas we desire to expand in. And then after we identify the areas, then we take those steps of becoming aware. For me, it's making an informed decision, making sure that we have as much information as we possibly can on determining what is the best way, because everyone has a different method of growth. We want to make sure that we determine the best way of growing and of expanding. So expanding really is just another word for growth, or for making sure that we are enlightening or spreading out more to have that personal awareness.
As far as U.P.B.C.A. is concerned, the next step for our organization is a 3 to 5 year strategic plan. So that's where we're heading at this year. We're heading to create a 3 to 5 year strategic plan, and through that plan will help us develop what areas, we'll identify the areas that we need growth in. So that's our next step, is developing a strategic
Dr. Robinson, first of all, let me say that thank you for a well put together presentation. This is Wade. So I was listening, and I was relating everything to my business too. You know what I'm saying? Because we are appearance enhancing professionals on here mainly. But you gave us some information that we can use just in life in general, especially about conflict resolution and and growth and being aware of shortcomings and where you need to grow at. So I was just looking at everything in terms of my business and how I could use the things that you gave me. A lot of those things that you touched on, I face situations like that in my shop all the time. I'm always having to bend and change and be flexible, you know, not only in life, but in business too. So, I've always, I took everything that you gave us and try to put it into, how I can apply that to my business as well as my life. So I want to commend you on a well put together presentation.
Andre, Andre, did you have your hand up earlier, my brother? Did you have something? I think you wanted to say something.
Hold on. I'm mute. Okay. Is it on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yes. Yes, DJ. I just wanted to give you a thumbs up on the presentation. It was very helpful and very on point. And that was it.
All right, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Anybody else? Mr. Mons, yes, sir.
Yes, yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Dr. Robinson, that was a very informative presentation. Thank you for your time and all of your positive energy and positive vibes. I lean more towards intuition, which is looking towards the bigger picture. And I find myself sometimes not seeing what's exactly in front of me as far as the bigger picture is concerned. So I'd love to have you come back and do a presentation on economic growth and development.
All right, we'll make sure we put that together. Anybody else have any comments, questions, or concerns before we wrap it up tonight? We want give people an opportunity. I want to thank all of our guests, all of our listeners, and I'm asking you to please go to our website, www.upbca.org. All of our past presentations are there. A lot of information is there concerning COVID-19 and different protocols and procedures down from the governor's office are there. We're constantly updating our site. Dr. DJ is responsible for doing that. We have a weekly and bi-weekly newsletter that comes out. Please subscribe when you go to the website. And to get that letter, you do not have to be a member in order to get our newsletter. Just subscribing on our website gets you our newsletter at www.upbca.org. And just click on subscribe. I think it pops up soon as you go to our website. And we're just grateful and we're honored. A lot of these presentations that we're receiving, people pay a lot of money to get these type of quality presentations. We at U.P.B.C.A, part of one of our objectives is personal professional development and community engagement and working with our community. And since the pandemic, we have been offering all of our classes and courses for free. To the public, open to the public, because we believe that our community deserves quality information and it doesn't have to cost you anything but your time, even though time is money. We appreciate all of our presenters, to include Dr. DJ on this evening. I agree, that was an outstanding dynamic presentation and we appreciate that. It's going to be, for those of you who want to share it with others who are not here this evening, it will be on our YouTube page. So you will be able to go to YouTube, click on upbca.org, and you will see all of our presentations from the past, including this one, and you can share them on your Facebook and your social media pages. Yes, Wade.
Mr. Lightfoot, I just want to say that, U.P.B.C.A, we are always in recruitment mode because there is strength in numbers. There is strength in numbers, and we have some great opportunities before us in terms of health care and other things that are available to us. And when our numbers are off the chain, all our benefits get off the chain. We're offering something great right now, but for those of you who are not on there, I want to encourage you to become a member because we have some great opportunities there and we have some great things that we're offering in terms of our association.
Awesome. We see Patricia put something in the chat too. Excellent presentation. Applying this information helps us know how to be more strategic in how we function, how we relate to others, such as family, customers, business associations, etc. Good stuff. Thank you, Patricia, for those great words. We know that our business is mostly about relationships. So, you know, we're very close to individuals and people. Sometimes most people do not change three things in their lifetime: their spiritual leader, their doctor and physician, and their barber or beautician. And so we're one of those three things that tends to transcend generations. And we're very proud to be in this profession. And so we're very grateful that we're able to serve and be servant leaders in our community. So again, thank you, Dr. DJ. We can't pay you, but we'll figure something out. And I want to thank everybody else. Yes.
So I am an MBTI certified practitioner. So if you have your INTJ or whatever your letters were, and you would like to discuss that with me, you know, you could definitely get in contact with me.